Why don't vampires eat cows? They don't like steaks.
Hey, shh.
Welcome back, everyone, to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we watch movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. With me, as always, is my co-host, Kelsey.
Hello.
Your hellos always feel like you want to say something more. Like, because you've been shut down from coming up with a line
Yeah,
that it just lingers.
You didn't like it, so then I just started saying hello, and I don't know what you want from me.
This week, we're taking a look at 2025 Sinners, and as always, there will be time codes below. What did you rate this movie?
5, bitch.
5 out of 5. Same here. What a fucking perfect movie.
One of the best movies I've ever seen.
The soundtrack, the action, the acting, the fucking just everything about this movie is amazing. This is my favorite movie of all time, which I decided. I decided yesterday.
You did decide
but
yesterday.
I didn't want to tell yesterday, except I had to. I felt like I had to.
We did, yeah, because we were at a Halloween party and somebody was dressed as Remick, and we were like, Sammy! And then we started talking about it.
I talked about it several times through the night. I just kept bringing it up. At some point, I was like, look, I'm sorry I keep bringing this up, but I guess because you're dressed like this, I can't stop talking about it.
He can't stop talking about the movie. Yeah. I wasn't there for the amount of times he brought it up, but...
I wish that I had seen this movie in theaters, and that's rare for me.
Oh, did you not hear? They're re-releasing it in theaters for Halloween. I wanted to tell you that.
Shit.
In IMAX. Yeah, we're going to have to go. We'll
I
have
don't
to
know
look
if you're
it
going to
up.
have time off. It's going to be me alone.
I have this weekend off.
Fuck it. It'll be the first movie I've ever gone to theaters to see alone, and I'll do it.
And he'll do it. Yeah.
What a fucking perfect movie. I mean, I'm going to go on and on about it, so I'll just keep going, because I could keep talking just about how good it is.
I mean, he can talk about how good it is for quite some time.
I mean, I actually have a podcast where I talk about movies.
Oh, do you now?
The budget for this movie was between $90 to $100 million, and it walked away with $367 million.
Feels like it should have made more.
I mean, that's just box office, you know? That doesn't include streaming, Blu-ray sales, whatever.
I also feel like it's a horror movie that's rated R, and those movies tend to not make as much money just because of the audience. If you think about Black Phone was like the same way. We went to theaters to see that, and we were like, that is one of the best movies we've ever seen, but it's only for a specific audience.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get in unless you're a certain age, or, I mean, you know, I say that, but who the fuck checks those anymore?
Oh, I got checked when...
Yeah, when you were a kid.
I guess that was a long time ago.
You know, when we go to the theaters, I walk in, I'm like, are you guys open? Or like,
yeah, that's true.
You know, they fucking are understaffed. They got 2 people there, and they're on opposite sides. Like,
and they also give no fucks.
As they should. They ain't paid enough to care.
Agreed.
On Rotten Tomatoes, Sinners was given positive reviews by 97% of critics and 96% of general audiences. So I think most people agree. Now, opinions are opinions, but people, they were on there saying, like, it's a mess of a story and there's too much shit going on. And
I just think they're too dumb to put it together.
As I was watching it, I was thinking, like, there's other little things that happen that are never brought up again, and I think that might be what's happening, but I don't think it has to. Like, we never truly find out the story behind Smoke and Stack's dad, but I don't think you should. That's not part of it, you know?
We did find out the history. It's mentioned in one line. Remember the third time we
what I mean, I guess, is how Smoke and Stack responded to that. Like, they mentioned the death thing, but he says a line. Stack says something like, Smoke killed him, and then he says something like, he was hitting me, but he didn't mean it. And it felt to me like there was, like, a little bit of animosity maybe between them on what happened with their father.
Smoke and Stack's mom died during childbirth, and Stack was born second, so the father blames Stack for her death, and that's why he hit him.
Sure, but how does Stack feel about Smoke killing him? That's the answer that I'm saying, like, we never got.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I felt like he sounded like he wished that didn't happen.
I mean, maybe, but also it sounded like if Smoke hadn't done that, then Stack would have died.
True. Well, the movie starts... you see Smoke and Stack. They're played, obviously, it's one guy. It's just Michael B. Jordan, but he's doing the twin thing. And they're returning to Clarksdale, Mississippi. And they have been up in Chicago. And they've come to buy a juke joint in the area, and they want it to be for their people. So they buy this juke joint off of a guy that's clearly a fucking racist. We'll come back to him. His name's Hogwood. I only mention that because what a shit name, too.
I mean, he's part of the KKK.
Yeah. And, you know, you don't, I guess, know it until you've watched through it, but like I mentioned it to you after I was researching it and stuff. When they get there, they're like, "Why these floors have just been cleaned?" And Hogwood is like, "Because we've been spinning on them." But really, it seems that they've been running this same scam where they sell this and they don't ever mean to let people actually keep it. It's an old mill of some sort. And so they buy it to set up this juke joint and they start going around town, letting everyone know they're back and also getting stuff together. They first of all grab their cousin Sammy.
Preacher boy Sammy.
Yeah, preacher boy Sammy, he is a sharecropper, and his father, just wants him to be about the church, wants him to spend all his time reading through the Bible, that kind of thing, and he claims that the music is calling to the devil because Sammy likes to play the guitar. Meanwhile, they bump into Delta Slim, another blues musician who is a drunkard, but because of that, they're able to offer him some beer, get him to come down and play. Cornbread, big guy that he comes to do security, basically. Annie is Smoke's former lover. They meant to have a baby together. Unfortunately, the baby passed. She's also involved with voodoo, and you can see that she has given Smoke
It almost looks like an amulet, but it's not.
they have a name for it, but I can't remember what it's called at this point. But yes, he's wearing it around his neck, and it's supposed to keep him safe, especially as they've been to war. They've been in Chicago. They're World War One veterans, and up in Chicago, come to find out, they ripped off the Irish and Italian mafias, and that's how they have now money and alcohol and all this stuff that they've returned with. And they spin this story to Sammy too about Chicago's just nothing, it ain't shit, like that's why we're back. But it's because they don't want Sammy to go to Chicago. Anyway, Mary is a half white, half black woman, but she was part of the community, and she was with Stack, and then Stack wanted her to take advantage of being white and go and live that life and have a better life and not be around him. But she doesn't want that. She's back around now that they're back.
I won't say it, but she is the best line in cinema.
Why won't you say it? You've
I'm
been
not
building up.
It. I know.
Let's go.
I don't know.
So when you first see her, she shows up at this train station, and it's when they're meeting Delta Slim, and Stack is like, "No, I don't want nothing to do with her. Like, get out of here. Didn't I tell you that?" And then...
Yeah, she says the most iconic line in movie history. I shan't be saying it.
What is it?
I can't.
You can.
You can.
She says, "Oh, I heard you. But then you licked my coo and fucked me so hard that I thought you'd change your mind."
It sucked. I wrote it down.
Oh, okay.
I did write it down. But yeah, that's it. And that's the best line in cinema. I don't care what anybody says, because the first time I saw that, actually in the movie, because there's a bunch of TikToks about it, but when you first see it in the movie, it's absolutely jaw-dropping. You never expect those words to come out of her mouth.
Last time I saw her, she was Hawkeye. So
let alone
I was like,
in a public place, in a public setting, in front of all of these people. Wow, it was amazing.
Well, yeah. Okay, so they also get Grace and Bo Chow, who own a convenience store. They are going to... What did they do? They were bringing the liquor?
The sign.
They did the sign, but they were also doing other stuff. Sign. They brought a bunch of shit, because he came there to the grocery store with like a list. I'm just not remembering. Maybe he was just getting the supplies, because it's Annie that cooks. But that doesn't mean she was bringing the supplies.
No, and they already had the liquor, because remember they had Italian. Right. Yeah.
So I'm not going to do a game later on I mentioned, but I do have like pretty long trivia things that go a little bit into history. So this is the first one I want to mention concerning Grace and Bo Chow. So they, I'll just read my trivia here. So Dolly Lee, she's an Asian American journalist and documentary filmmaker, is listed in the movie's end credits as a consultant on Mississippi Delta Chinese history. She produced a 2017 documentary segment for the TV series Untold America on the generations of Chinese Americans who have lived in the Mississippi Delta for over a century. Lee's narration in the segment explains, "The Chinese originally came here to work in the cotton fields. With the end of slavery, plantation owners could no longer depend on the free labor of slaves, so they looked to the Chinese, who were cheap, disposable, and politically voiceless. But with harsh conditions and little pay, working in the fields didn't last long. They soon started opening grocery stores in small towns up and down the Delta. These stores played a uniquely important role in the segregated South, serving the black community when the white community wouldn't. And this is significant because it meant more than 70% of the population got their groceries from tiny Chinese communities." This situation of two segregated store locations, one for black customers and one for white, across the street from each other on the main street of the Mississippi Delta town, is faithfully reproduced and depicted in Sinners in the form of Chow's family business. So that's, first of all, why you might question what they're doing in the Mississippi. But this was a real thing that you just don't learn about. Like, they were brought in to do the same work, and then there wasn't the work to be found. And so they started doing this. And in the movie, when, is it Stack or is it Smoke? I think Smoke goes to the grocery store.
Smoke goes to the
When
grocery
Smoke
store.
goes to the grocery store, he pays this girl to watch his truck to make sure nobody's robbing it. And then somebody is robbing it, and he comes out there and shoots him in the ass. That kind of stuff could happen, and nobody would call the cops because across the street is the white people. They don't care. They see a black guy shooting another black guy, they don't do anything. And so, you know, you may be like, well, this isn't the Wild West. Why would he just walk out here and shoot this guy in the ass? That part's hilarious to me. I forgot that I have notes here. I'm supposed to be looking at as well. When he shoots the first guy, the second guy goes running. He says, fuck you going. I bet this bull will beat you there. And I think that's such a fucking good line. And he ends up shooting that guy anyway. And he says, well, I can't have him walking around saying he almost robbed the Smokestack twins. Not without a limp to show for it. You know, and people are scared of them. They show that too. Like when he pays that little girl and the little girl he tells the little girl who he is, she gets really scared. And he's like, no, you're not in trouble. People just didn't know they were back. So, meanwhile, we get a look at Remick, the vampire. And Remick, he lands in front of this house and you can see his skin is steaming. Like he's burning because the sun is starting to come up. He convinces these people to let him in because he's running from vampire hunters. There's this Choctaw group that seem to know all about it, and they are like, if you let him in, you know, you're going to have a problem. You should not let this happen. He convinces these people to let him in, and
I always took that as like a racism thing too, because white people also treated Native American people,
I mean, they call them
and
a
had
slur
them
too.
slaves and things like that. And so that's why I assumed that they didn't listen, because that was the nephew of Hogwood, right?
Yes,
the nephew.
Yeah, they were definitely also KKK, but you know, he also offers them gold. So, speaking on Remick, obviously he's the vampire of the movie. He's Irish if you've seen it. I want to go through a couple bits of trivia here. So, on Spotify, if you look in the About section for the album for the movie, the artist is Sinner's Movie, and instead of just a normal, like, biography, it has a page from a Boston newspaper, and it describes a mysterious discovery in the Boston harbor of an Irish immigrant ship that turned up completely devoid of life. The ship's cabin was burned down, there was blood everywhere, and there were no people aboard the ship, despite reports that lights and music were seen and heard the night before originating from the ship. The final key point is that an eyewitness saw one man take off from the ship with his skin smoking, disappearing into shadows. The story clearly outlines how Remick first came to America in 1911 from his native Ireland. The ship he crosses the Atlantic on is named the Celtic Hare, but it's clearly meant to be a stand-in for the ship that Dracula famously crossed the sea on in Bram Stoker's Dracula, named the Demeter, or Demeter, I don't know how to say it. It also sheds light on how Remick, or how long he's been in America, which is a relatively short time frame in his life, which is implied to be over 600 years. So, first of all, that's not in the movie at all, but it's cool that you can go to Spotify and like see this additional information of how he ended up there, because he is Irish. Now, continuing off of that, it is particularly significant that Remick is introduced fleeing from Choctaw hunters. Not only is this movie set in historic Choctaw homeland, there's a long history of cooperation between Native Americans and the Irish. The Irish potato famine occurred 16 years after the Choctaw, Cherokee, Muskogee, Seminole,
and Chickasaw.
Yeah, sorry. Peoples were forced to walk the Trail of Tears. Knowing tragedy and hunger themselves, Choctaw and Cherokee survivors donated hundreds of dollars to support famine relief. And then in 2017, Ireland erected the Kindred Spirits sculpture in acknowledgement of their friendship between the two people, with a companion sculpture called Eternal Heart installed on Choctaw land in 2024. When the coronavirus pandemic began in 2020 and the Navajo and Hopi nations, nations were hit especially hard, Ireland sent a $2 million donation accrediting it to Choctaw kindness in their time of need. So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that, you know, Ryan Coogler, like, does all his research, and this movie is so much more than a vampire movie, you know? Anyway, so we're on opening night for the Juke Joint. They got everything going, and this is the first time that you get to see Sammy really perform. Now, he shows his skills to Stack earlier in the movie, but they mention the movie actually opens up with, like, this voiceover telling you that there are some people out there that have this power of music where they can bring souls back to the earth from the past, the future, things like that. And they say that, you know, there's people in Ireland that did, or there's Irish, Native American, African Americans, they all had their own names for it, but it attracts evil. So Sammy is one of these people, which you find out for sure this night because he does his performance, and it's like the best scene of the fucking movie. It's insane. I mean, he starts with he has such a deep voice that it's already so moving, but they add in other music to show you that he's reaching through time. Like, you see other people there doing traditional music and traditional dances, all the way up to you see a rapper in the crowd. Like, I can't even explain it to you. If you haven't seen it, it's so hard to explain. This is a one panning camera shot from Sammy starting to sing around the room. People are dancing around this camera, and then you just start seeing things pop up that don't make sense and don't fit in the air. You see a guy with an electric guitar, you see a guy on stage with records and a microphone. I don't know, like this scene, I've never experienced anything about it like this before. Like, this is the first time I've ever felt this way, and during a scene. This is one of the reasons why I want to see it in theaters so bad. Like, I've watched this scene 3, 4 times now, and every time I'm like so emotionally moved and invested in this. And granted, I'm like that with movies normally as is, but they did this shot so well. And then he like points up as he's singing, and the camera pans up to the sky, and there's just like embers in the air, and it starts going back down then, and the whole church is gone. It's just fucking burned around them, but they're all in there, like not reacting to it. It's just them in there. Like, it cleared the path so you could see them, and it's because you see fucking Remick outside staring at them, and that's such a fucking crazy villain reveal. I've never seen a villain reveal that good. Like, I know they already showed him on the run, but showing he's there like that was fucking chilling. I'm already like, oh my god, what a great night. And then that, like, I don't know. I could talk about this scene forever. It's amazing. You have anything you want to say about this scene?
No,
Okay.
I'm good. Get you on your soapbox, baby.
When he starts singing too, there's a moment in the very beginning, right before the music starts changing, where he has like a flashback to Delta Slim talking to him. And it's a scene that wasn't in the movie. It's something that happened off screen. And Delta Slim says, like, this music, this is ours. It's not something that was forced on us like that religion, which I think is important that they mention as well. Now, I'm not getting into that conversation. Whatever you believe is what you believe, but that doesn't deny the fact that people were brought over to this country and told this is their religion now, and they had to evolve from that. Everything else, I'm not talking about right now.
It's also going back to what his dad, was trying to force his religion
Yes.
on him too. Because at the church, when his dad's like, I want you to help me give the sermon, and I want you to do this Bible verse and this and this, and he has the Bible open to that verse. And I thought it was really important that when Sammy walked away from that, he said the verse by heart. And I think that shocked his father because he just thought that he was out there doing all of these things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't. His father obviously felt some type of way about the music, and it was kind of true. But so when Delta Slim's talking to him and he says that, he says, it wasn't forced on us like that religion. He says something like, this music, it's ours, and it's big. And when he says big, it like the bass drops and then it cuts back and starts showing everything. It's so fucking good. Anyway, I can't hang on to this scene anymore as much as I want to. Let me hit my trivia about it and move on. So this is something that Ryan Coogler said concerning the scene. Everybody would have reactions when they read that scene. And that, to me, was like, okay, maybe I've got something. But translating it from script to screen was tricky. From a production standpoint, we had a lot of work to do. Every department was involved. It took a lot of coordination. I've got a couple of scenes like this in every movie, where as you're getting closer to production, you realize we're going to need a lot more planning than we thought. Instead of using previs technology and map out the sequence, Coogler opted for Sidney Lumet-style rehearsals, where the key players on the production assembled in the physical space to map it out. You gotta know how big the camera is. You gotta have the person who's gonna hold the camera here, he explains. You gotta walk through it and find out where your trouble spots are and try to get ahead of them. We had to know what people were wearing, and we had to find the right musicians. We had to find dancers who could do these cultural dances. These are highly specialized individuals.
That's cool.
Yeah, like, they really, like, they didn't just bullshit, like, hey, here's the kind of dance you're supposed to do. They got real people to do all these historic dances you're seeing. And there's so many, even watching it another time today, like, I was seeing other people doing dances in the background that I hadn't seen the first time. So, Remick shows up, obviously, after hearing Sammy's voice. He wants in. He's super fucking weird about it, I think. But they're the kind of vampire that has to be invited in. so they can't do anything unless they let them in. Now, they run into this problem where Smoke and Stack are disagreeing on whether or not patrons should be able to pay with company script. And so Mary, being, partially white herself, goes out there to.
That was my question I had, because I said, did old girl go out there because she was white or because they just needed a reason to get the vampire shit underway?
No, she said they says something about it, like, because you can go feel them out, like, because one of them goes out there. Yeah, they're badasses, but besides that, the three of these white people might try and kill them. So she goes out there and talks to them, and they're like trying to convince her. Basically, slowly they start to be like, well, you know what, we can help you, we can save you, without revealing it yet. And one thing that I kind of like about these vampires, I kind of hate, is like they drool. And so she notices it because he's like leaning closer, and it's just this thick ass fucking ectoplasm ass drool.
It's disgusting.
She pulls her gun and starts walking away. She's like, fuck it, we're not gonna do this. And as she's walking away, in the foreground, it's blurry, you can see Remick start to fly up. And then as he's gonna go at her, it cuts back to the juke joint. And Perline, who's a woman, I didn't bring her up, but Perline's a woman that Sammy gets super interested in. They're flirting, being real nasty. She's married, but she's going to sing. And she starts off her song with, like, this scream, like, ah! And it fucking lines up with what might have happened out there. Like, it's so fucking cool the way that they cut over, and you hear her scream. Oh my god. She puts on a badass song, and the beat of the song starts matching up with this dude's ass they're beating in the back because he was ripping them off, and that's super cool too. Like, they're all kicking him. Fucked up. I mean, it is what it is. But it matched up with the song. I liked that. Cornbread at the front door, when Delta Slim comes over, he's like, well, I gotta take a piss, so watch the door. He gets God out there. And then Mary comes back inside, and they let her in because they don't think anything. And she convinces Stack to come bang her. But really, it's so she can bite him, turn him into a vampire.
Let me just say, that whole scene, like, they're having sex, whatever. I feel that, you see her bite on her back shoulder, and you're like, oh, it's getting started. But she could have bit him somewhere other than his carotid. Like, she could have bit him somewhere other than his neck, and it would have been not so gruesome.
I wonder if that is due to anything with, like, it's her first time being a vampire and she's hungry. No, because they have, like, a hive mind. They would all be like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
It didn't seem like they hungered for blood. It just seemed like they...
Well, I thought that, but there's a scene later that we'll get to that Delta Slim cuts his arm open and is, like, holding it out, which maybe he just thought, but it seemed like I don't know.
Because they were all going after him anyway, so I don't feel like it meant anything.
Yeah. I mean... how much they hunger for blood is in question, for sure. And how much they just want to spread it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mentioned that, too. It's like, they don't eat these people. They just, like, take their drink and then they let them come back. Okay, so Mary is back there with Stack, and when Smoke goes to tell him, hey, we got somebody in the back that needs to be patched up, he finds Mary on top of him, just fucking annihilating him. I mean, she's making monster noises, like eating his neck, and he doesn't even know what he's seeing. Like, he did a really good job with his face acting there to be like, what is happening? And he says, what the fuck? And he just pulls out 2 pistols and starts lighting her up. And, like, it's so goddamn depressing already from that moment because you can see the pain in his eyes. He's shooting her not even out of, like, get off of him at this point. Mm-hmm. The amount of bullets he's putting into her is just pain in his heart for knowing that Mary killed him. Or at least that's what he believes to this point. I mean, I guess she did, regardless.
And then Stack dies in Smoke's arms.
Yeah, he's holding him as he's, like, saying his name and holding his fucking neck, and Mary runs out of the... Which I kind of questioned the whole time. Why do they keep running? Like, or why did Mary leave? They can't kill you. But we talked about that, I guess, and I said, maybe, what if they figure it out?
Because Remick is Sammy is the only person Remick actually wants.
Yeah, but I think he also will just eat all of them just because, too.
But he negotiated for him.
You're right. So after they find out that she's a vampire, she leaves. Then, Stack gets back up. And what you're seeing with them, too, is they retain their personalities, even though they become part of this hive mind. They're still very much themselves, but they share all the memories. And Stack, they throw fucking garlic or something on him, so he also runs out. And so they're outside now. Like, it interests me, too, the vampires, like, immediately use all of the memories to their advantage. When somebody gets taken over, there is no moment of like, oh, I don't want to hurt my old family. Like, they're immediately for what Remick wants, and they also will just be like, well, what about, I thought we were friends. Like, they will do anything to get you to come out or invite them in. Also, after that Remick says like he wants Sammy and won't give it to him, they go off to have themselves a little bonfire, I guess. And I really like that scene because, one, I like the counter to the blues being like this traditional like Irish music, I guess. And also you see all the vampires doing the same dance because they all can, because the hive mind. But it's funny to see like Stack and Cornbread out there doing these old Irish dances.
All I have to say is the shanty when he's like, that's the one with his red eyes that you're talking about before they
Yeah,
try
when
and
he's
like
in the
go in and
middle and
fight
they're
them.
circled around him.
That's such a badass scene.
That is.
Because that's a better shanty than they first sing. I picked poor Robin clean. It's better than that one.
Every time I hear that "Pick Poor Robin Clean," I think of Caleb Heron saying how he was in the theater tapping his foot, and he was like, pretty good.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, so that scene's badass, and I gotta say, like, I don't think any of them were into it as hard as Stack was into that song. Michael B. Jordan was having a time out there. The way he was clapping and hitting his chest, like, he was into that fucking performance, and I love that. Like, it takes you into the movie. Like, you forget you're watching a movie when you get shit like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bo Chow has also been bitten because he wanted to run and get the car to get his wife Grace out of there and get back to their daughter. Because of that, they now have information of Grace and Bo's daughter being back at the store alone. And Remick basically is like, hey, give us Sammy or we're going to go eat your daughter. And in response to that, Grace is really losing it, and she starts making Molotovs, and then she's like, come on in, you motherfuckers. And they all come in.
That was the invite. And
that's a good scene. As much as I'm like, oh, bitch, why'd you do that?
I will like to mention, because I feel like we're getting to like the big fight scene and it goes super quick. It doesn't last as long as you think. Everything was like a build up to it. Annie like prepares them. She knows about vampires. She knows how to kill them. She prepares them with how exactly they have to kill vampires. And so I think that's important to mention for this part because... You're
right. I wanted to bring up that part too, because they do this thing where they stand in a circle and they're like, everyone's gonna eat a piece of garlic to see if we are anybody in here's a vampire, because we just don't know. And as they're going through, they get to Pearline and she doesn't want it. She's like, I don't really like it, and immediately Smoke points a gun at her and Sammy is like, they're arguing back and forth. The third time Sammy says something, he hits him in the face so fucking hard with the butt of that gun. Yeah. And he's right. It doesn't matter if you don't... Do you see what's happening?
I don't know. I thought it was also funny when Delta Slim was like choking on the garlic and they were all like on edge and he's like, it's just my alcoholism.
Drank too much. Yeah. God damn it.
But the point is then she lets them in and this whole fight happens. But that's essentially how Grace dies. She tackles her husband and kills him, and she's lit on fire by her own Molotov that Remick deflected and lit the building on fire.
I wonder if you kill a vampire that, like, do they lose those memories? Like, do they...
Well, I think they do, because the reason that Annie gets bit is because she fights Remick off and then notices that when Remick is injured...
Yeah.
Everybody else feels the pain and reacts to it, and she's screaming that at Smoke, and then that's when Stack tackles her and
it's so fucking depressing that Stack is the one to kill Annie, because, like, I mean, that's still Annie's family in a way. For one,
that is definitely Annie's
Smoke
family.
Has to see his brother murder the love of his life, and
after they already had tensions because their baby died. That's kind of part of the reason why they left.
Yeah, he mentions that earlier because she says something about his necklace protecting him, and he's like, well, if this works, why couldn't you protect our baby? And it's very sad.
But I think it's also important to mention that because she's into the voodoo stuff, multiple times throughout the movie, which I didn't realize is the first time we watched it, she mentions
Mojo bag, that's what it's called.
The mojo bag. But she mentions the future,
yeah.
And you can tell that she knows that she's going to die as well as Smoke is going to die. Like, she can see the entire future. She just doesn't tell people, like, what it is.
Yeah, well, she does. She casts bones to read the future a couple times in the movie. I mentioned that to you, that, like, when she casts it the second time, it lands in the exact same place because they're not changing their fate.
Yeah, so their fate was already preset. Everything that's happening, she could see what it was happening, which I think helped her prepare for like what was to come.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then Smoke stabs her through the chest with the wooden stake because she doesn't want to be a vampire. She wants to be with their baby.
Yeah, I mean, this full-blown fight is happening. Eventually Smoke and Stack are fighting. Delta Slim kills himself. He cuts his wrist from his wrist to his elbow to make blood come out, and he is luring as many of the vampires as he can. And meanwhile, Smoke and Stack are up there fighting. Sammy tries to run, leading to Sammy and Remick fighting. Smoke and Stack's fight.
It ends with Smoke about to kill Stack, and then it cuts away, so you never know the end of that fight.
Yeah, which Stack had the upper hand. Obviously, he's the vampire, but you see Stack try and bite Smoke, and he's still got his mojo bag on, and you see like a distortion, and like you hear like a low rumble. Like he can't bite him. That's the only reason he won, is because he couldn't bite him because of Annie's mojo bag.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gets on top of him, and it's depressing when he gets on top of him too. Like he's about to hit him with the stake, and he says like, "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you," and Stack says, "You did all my life," and then you don't see it again. You don't see what happened. You just assume, all right, yeah, Smoke killed him.
Yeah.
Honestly, the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, they didn't, it would have been a bitch to film because it's been a bitch the whole time because it's just one guy. Sammy versus Remick, like, that's the scene that I fucking love when they interact with each other, or first bump into each other during all this fight. Remick pops through that door, Sammy!
He says it like 3 times throughout the movie.
Yeah, but that
So
time
good.
is the most, like, exaggerated. So, with the Sammy and Remick fight, they get into the water, and Sammy starts praying. And at that point, I wanted to mention my other trivia here. Remick mentions how Christians took his father's land. Given that he's Irish, this would mean that he was alive before the island was fully converted to Christianity, putting his mortal life somewhere between the 5th and 7th centuries, making him at least 1,300 years old. Because I was mentioning his age earlier. Mm-hmm. But that's how old he is, because he remembers when Christianity was forced on Ireland as well. And so he relates to Sammy in that. And I think, again, like I said, there's so much more in the vampire movie. Them having this bond, almost, in a sense, over religion being forced on them. He tries to use that, and then they both say this prayer together. I don't know what the prayer is called. I do want to say, too, I loved Remick's makeup during that scene. He starts to become more monstrous as he's, like, getting injured. He's got, like, long claws. Mm-hmm. His teeth are all just fully, like, I don't know, sharp. Yeah, instead of just the human teeth. He's got a gash on his face already from them fighting him. And as he is about to bite Sammy and get what he wants, Sammy picks up the guitar and he smashes it into his face. And the guitar had a big silver plate at the bottom of it, and the silver plate is in Remick's face, burning him, because silver is one of the things that hurts the vampires, and it doesn't kill him, but this gives Smoke the opportunity to come up behind him, because when Remick is damaged, all the vampires feel it.
And let me tell you, we didn't see Smoke at all until that moment.
Yes, because Smoke was like sneaking in, I guess, but also because everyone was distracted by the pain, he was able to. He gets behind Remick and stakes him through the heart and grabs Sammy, and it's like such a cool scene because the lighting comes from this fire tornado that Remick is burning up from dying, and they're like standing there just in absolute horror. Like both Sammy and Smoke, both of the actors, Miles Canton and Michael B. Jordan, did an amazing job looking. The look on their faces so like, what are we doing? What are we living through right now? Which is, yeah, you haven't even had a chance to fucking process what's going on. But after that, throughout the movie, you've learned that Hogwood, who sold them this juke joint, plans to come back in the morning with his clan buddies and just kill them. That's what they do. And Remick tries to tell them that as a way to be like, join us because I don't give a fuck about these racists and we should kill them. We're gonna go kill them, in fact, but we want you with us. But anyway, Hogwood shows up there. It's such an unexpected action scene, too. Like, even though they mentioned that in the movie, I didn't think we were going to see it because everything that happened. It's like a different movie at that point, but not in a bad way. Like,
you also see old boy remove his mojo bag.
Yes. Well, he's sitting there waiting for them to show up, and he's trying to roll a cigarette, and you see his hands trembling, and it starts doing flashbacks where he's thinking of all these people that have died. He thinks of his brother. He thinks of Mary. He thinks of Annie, Cornbread, like all these people he had relationships with. Everyone he's ever known is dead. And so he just, at that point, when the flashbacks end, that's when he rips the mojo bag off. And then, yeah, these clan members show up. They're banging on the door. It's locked. They can't get in. They don't know why. And he comes from behind with a rifle, takes out like 3 of them. They're shooting at him. He has another fucking Tommy gun, is just annihilating them. It's the craziest
He's got
fucking...
Midas's drum gun.
Yeah, the Midas
Nice.
jar. But it's like, I didn't think they were going to do this action scene. It's like a different movie, like I said, but
I don't
it's...
know, but he takes out every single clan
Yes, and
member.
fuck them. What a great fucking... Yes, bitch, we live for killing clan members at the end of this
Yeah.
movie. Like, it brought me joy in such a depressing movie. I was like, oh, yes, God. God is good. But, he dies because one of them gets a shot off into him because presumably he took off the mojo bag and he was no longer protected by that. And he's sitting there with Hogwood as Hogwood's dying. And he starts to see a vision of Annie and their baby. And he goes to, like, hold the baby. And then fucking Hogwood is like, hey, I got money. And he looks at him with such disgust and grabs the Tommy gun.
And,
Yeah,
just
he lights
him
him up, and it shows it. That's the best part. Is like, it's not just like you hear a gunshot. He's just fucking da-da-da-da-da-da, and his
Yeah.
body's just taking all these fucking bullets. Fuck that motherfucker. Anyway, he dies. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to mention one thing, and it's
Yeah.
my last note. After that, it flashes to Sammy, who
You're
goes to
right.
church the next morning.
It's actually the beginning of the
And
movie.
he's like covered in blood. I always wondered when he was like, come up here, son, blah, 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 what happened in church that day, because he ends up leaving like he was planning to.
Yes.
And ends up, becoming this world famous musician, which you then flash forward many years, and it's him playing at a joint called Perlene's for her, but you see his guitar and it has that silver plate, even though he's smashed.
Yeah, he recovered it.
He recovered it, but he ends up seeing Stack and Mary.
Yeah, they show up at his bar, Perlene's.
It's basically to offer him the ability to become a vampire because they can tell that he's dying.
Yes, and Stack smells him and is like, you don't got much time, do you? And he tells him what happened, that Smoke didn't kill him, and he gave him he made this deal to leave Sammy alone, let him grow old. They show up then when he's old and they offer him immortality. They're like, we'll do it, no pain. And he says, I think I've seen enough of this place. Also, I want to mention, it's Buddy Guy that plays Old Man Sammy at the end. Very famous musician.
But also he sits there, and after they, he's like, it was the best day of my life until the sun went down and blah, blah, blah. And then he plays them music, and he played them the first song that he played him in the car. Yeah. And it was such a full circle, like, cool moment.
Yeah, because Stack says, like, I like that.
Stack, like, loved him.
Yeah,
it wasn't,
that's his
he
family,
just wanted to be with him. He was upset. Like, Stack and Mary didn't get to choose what happened to them.
It almost, I almost feel bad for them. Like, there's a point towards the end of the movie where I'm like, they're not the bad guys, but...
No.
I don't know. But yeah, Stack says, like, when he shows up, he's like, yeah, I don't really like all the electric stuff anymore. I miss the real. And that's when Sammy pulls out the guitar, the old guitar, and plays it. If you haven't seen this movie, you've probably seen the fucking TikTok. Sammy says, about once a week, I wake up in the middle of the night paralyzed with fear. But before the sun went down, I think that was the best night of my life. And
he's like, do you believe it too? And he was like, for sure.
He says, yeah, it's last time I saw my brother and last time I saw the sun. Like, it's so fucking depressing. I'm, like, tearing up thinking about it. Like, they loved each other. The brothers, like, that scene early on, after they kill that snake, we didn't talk about it's nothing scene. I mean, it is, but it's not for time spent. He, like, holds him and he's like, be careful. He's like, I will. I love you. I love you. And I don't know. Like, people don't love each other like that. The way that they did, and it's taken from them.
Yeah.
So let me say, the director Ryan Coogler was asked about whether he considered a potential sequel, although it was an idea that he never thought about. He elaborated that he wanted to work on something original after having done so many franchise projects, and he explained his intention for the film was to feel like a full meal and would be a finished thing. He said, I was looking forward to working on a film that felt original and personal to me and had an appetite for delivering something to audiences that was original and unique. I wanted the movie to feel like a full meal. Your appetizers, starters, entrees, and desserts. I wanted all of it there. I wanted it to be a holistic and finished thing. That was how I was asked all about it. That was always my intention.
I actually think I think that this was a complete story, and I don't want a sequel.
Well, that was my next question. Do you think there should be a sequel? I don't either. Like, it's too perfect. Don't touch it. But anyway, what is your sequel? Oh, pitch line.
What if we went back to the beginning?
Okay. What's the title?
Shanties.
The title of the movie, Shanties?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, then. He's looking at me funny. Let me just grab it because I got to read and I got to lean forward. So, throwback to 1847 in Ireland. I realize that old boy's going to be 1,300 years old.
I mean, it's
for this
okay.
night.
You didn't have that it's okay. You don't
I
have
mean,
to.
I knew that he was older than this, but this is a prequel, obviously.
Yeah.
And this makes more sense. And if you feel, I'll just keep going. We'll go to it. Remick is a hardworking potato farmer, with his family, but it's the potato famine.
Okay.
Uh, uh,
Okay.
your Native American like
Yeah,
facts.
yeah.
We went back to that. I thought that was
It
cool
is cool.
because I didn't know that. The movie will show his struggles to keep his family fed, and he and his wife always make sure their two children have something to eat. The people of like around the area knew that he was a farmer and had multiple potato crops to at least keep his family fed. So this sparks jealousy. I think in some instance it could go do flashbacks to his childhood, showing how he grew up, how they became potato farmers. I think it should do like an homage to the religion being like forced upon him as
Yeah.
well. But I for this purposes think that he should be religious. Not quite like Sammy's dad, but
I mean, it
anyway.
can be in a sense that, like, you see his hesitance to be religious, but also this is what's around him. This is what he's
Hmm.
fallen into.
One day while in town, Remick went to sell and trade his products for, different supplies, and a group of starving men went to his home. But because he had just taken his supply to town, they didn't have food, and they lit all of his crops on fire
Damn.
and destroyed everything. He then went back to town for revenge, and instead he was turned into a vampire by a a small group of men.
Yeah.
He did not want the same fate for his family, which eventually led to them being starving to death. And he made it his mission to never allow that to happen again.
Hmm.
He used his new abilities to try and recruit people throughout Ireland, but never had a connection and just ended up murdering the group who not only made him a vampire, but the group who lit the farm on fire, causing the death of his family. And I think this should be done through him singing shanties, like in bar scenes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Almost like Sammy, to show that he has the same like pull that Sammy does, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, he drowns his sorrows in alcohol and song. He decided there was nothing left for him and his inability to die, so he decided to go to America. Once there, he explored and was always searching for a community he could manipulate. This led him to the South. The moment
Stack.
Smoke and Stack gave Sammy the guitar with the metal piece, and he learned to play it, Remick felt a sense of connection and that it was his way back to his family. So
Yeah.
that goes to you thinking the metal piece was like, and the guitar was like the evil.
Yeah.
I put it in here.
Yeah.
Anyways, he would have to wait for the right time. Cue a montage of him watching Sammy over the years while trying to build a community, but it never worked and always failed. This montage will also show the acts of racism throughout this time and Remick helping to save people when he could, because he's not about racism.
Yeah.
He'll also be working to evade the vampire hunters, and some of his men that he does accumulate will be lost. The movie will end with a final shanty song sang by Remick as Sammy is playing the guitar. Like Sammy will play, but it'll be Remick singing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And walking through the field just as night fell, knowing his plan will be set in motion soon.
I like that.
Thanks.
It's good. I like keeping with, like, the historical themes and the horror. I think all that would work. So mine is called Sinner's Crossroads. On the pitch line, you keep dancing with the devil. One day he's going to follow you home.
Ooh, a line from the OG.
Yeah.
All right.
Mary and Stack struggle with the loss of their family and wonder what comes next for them in a world where they struggle to survive and fearing more than just the sun. They spend their nights at juke joints until one night they hear Robert Johnson play and can feel his power similar to Sammy years ago. Wanting to see their family again, they desire to turn Robert. If you don't know who Robert Johnson is, he's a real-life, very famous blues musician. He is someone that people truly believe that he sold his soul to the devil, and that's how he became anything.
They have a Netflix documentary about it.
Yes, but his history is also lost to time. A lot of people don't fully know anything about him, which helps with the rumors, because Robert Johnson, like, there's just a lot of missing information about him. This isn't a guy that we have, like, textbooks about. There was hardly even anything about his death. His death certificate just said that he died, and nobody really knows how he died, and historians argue how he died.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, I said he's this very famous artist. He had 2 recorded sessions ever. That's it. So, Robert Johnson is going to be, I think, honestly the main character of this movie. I very much want to keep with the blues music and historical themes,
Mm-hmm.
and the horror to almost be second because this is a follow up in a way. So anyway, Stack is planning to just overpower him, and Mary expresses concern over the night they lost everything, and she wants to be upfront with him. Stack reluctantly agrees and follows her lead. They get to know Robert and begin spending a lot of nights with him. People begin to take notice of the seemingly dead-eyed friends of Robert Johnson that only appear at night, and I think this would help with the real life rumors. Like, that's why there was so many rumors about him making deals with the devil, because people saw, I'm trying to like apply them into the real life history.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the couple reveal the truth, which, real quick, I mean, because you see at the end of the movie when Mary looks at that bartender, for a moment, he sees her eyes, and then he gets freaked out and, like, backs up. The bartender that was serving Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Eventually, the couple reveal the truth to Robert Johnson, offering to make him immortal. Robert doesn't care for this, but can see their pain in missing their family. Robert Johnson's life hadn't exactly been a good one, and as such, he makes a deal with them. If they can help spread his music, he will play for them and bring back the spirits of their family whenever they want. Mary and Stack use their money and power they've accumulated to help Robert Johnson get some recording sessions done. But eventually, Robert grows to fear Mary and Stack as one night he sees them feed on someone they perceive to be a threat to revealing the truth about Robert. When Robert tries to separate himself from them, this angers Stack and he threatens to force him to continue playing for them. Robert Johnson would go on to be poisoned by a close friend who Robert confided in privately. I'm thinking like he saw what he was going through, and Robert tells him, these guys are vampires and like they won't let me, like I can't. And so this guy poisons Robert secretly. And the reason I applied that is because that is a prevailing theory, is that he was poisoned in his life, and that's how he died. He died at 26. Like, he hardly had a life. That's why there's so much about like the devil involved in his music and stuff. Not to mention, once he heard those rumors, he did start playing into them as well. I mean, what do I know? Maybe it was real. But he started making music about the afterlife and the devil and things like that. Anyway, that was it.
Mm.
Basically, they got Robert Johnson killed and just kept on going.
The historical theme, especially of somebody who is known to, be possessed by the devil himself from the South, because that's what they call these people. Like
they were constantly saying they were evil. So I think this applies to that, and I get to keep the blues music. I get to hear some of that.
Nice.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We do so appreciate it. If you want to talk movies with us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky. We are NansPod everywhere.
NansPod.
If you'd like to vote on whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or you can let us know your idea across our socials or at needlesssequel@gmail.com. Links, as always, will be wherever you are listening. If I could ask you for one thing, is to share a show with someone and leave us a review. That is how we get new listeners. Of course, I also ask that you come back for more Needless Sequels. Next week, we'll be watching the live-action Scooby-Doo on HBO Max.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Take care of yourselves, everyone. We will see you next week.
Bye.